It's 7 o'clock and Happy New Year. This is the Tibet Center, Kunshab Tarduling, a Buddhist meditation and study center located in New York City, where we are now, and northern New Jersey, specifically South Orange, New Jersey. And this is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma. Tonight we have a nice varied program. First I'll give you the menu. A little advice from the Kadampa masters from the 1000s. 1,000 years ago, 1,100, and then some advice from the fundamental vehicle, the Theravada vehicle, Being Nobody, Going Nowhere. Very interesting book. And then we'll go to our regular program, His Holiness Dalai Lama, Advice on Dying. So if there is anyone who has passed away in the past week or 2 or 3, whose names you want us to remember when we say the Sutra, the Recollection of the Three Jewels, put their names in the chat box. All the prayers we say are on the Tibet Center website. Go to the FAQ section and scroll down to prayers. So the first prayer we'll recite is on the website like everything else. Prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions that adverse their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The blessing was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the dharmas, called profound illumination. And at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the 5 skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered, Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the 5 skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear, They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, mahasattva, should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the bodhisattva, mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced, just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering and the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. And now, Refuge in Bodhisattva Vow, it says generating bodhicitta in the title of the prayer. We say these verses 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So now, in accordance with our little tradition started by Venerable Vreeland, Khensa Vreeland, we'll do one round of Om Mani Padme Hum, the mantra of Avalokiteshvara, who personifies great compassion, unlimited. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum. You have to yell louder than the fire engine. You're cold? We could shut the window if you. So we'll start off with this little book, Essential Advice of the Kadampa Masters. Comes from the Amitabha Buddha Center in Singapore on Geylang Road. They were printed in 1999. Anyway, it's advice from the Kadampas. Who are the Kadampas? So started with Katisha at the time of Atisha. His teacher's like 1050 or so. What his dates are exactly. 1042 to 982 to 1054. So the 1000s, more or less. So who are the Kadampa Masters? From the introduction by Stephen Batchelor, he says very shortly, the teachings of the Kadampa Masters are noted for their straightforwardness. You don't have to read a lot of books. It's very blunt. Their almost uncompromising simplicity. Oh, you went down? These masters continually confront us with the basic facts of our existence and challenge us to adopt a meaningful and practical response to them. In other words, they call it as it is. This is what's happening, whether you like it or not. What do you do? This is what you do. Simple language, direct. These are practitioners, more than scholars. Of course, a lot of them are scholars. A lot of them are yogis, of course, but they're practical practitioners. They repeatedly point out that the spiritual path is fraught, it's dangerous, with as many possibilities of self-deception as is our life in the world. You think you're getting somewhere, maybe not. That's why their advice cuts. No, you're doing this, you're doing that, and you tell me you're that. So this is very good, straightforward, and easy to practice. And we'll get an example of it from Atisha. To avoid such pitfalls, we must be constantly mindful of our innermost motives, our aims, our commitments, and most significantly, our death. We're not around forever. Blah, blah, blah. In our mind, we don't think of that, but we have to. This text first translated into English under the Mongolian Lama Geshe Wangal, had a nice place in New Jersey. Anyway, so it starts off with advice from Atisha. So start the new year with the one who started the whole tradition that we're in, Atisha, Dipamkara Rakshita, whatever his name is. So this is basic advice, and here it comes, a lot in a few words. Put on your seatbelts and recline. One time Atisha was asked by his disciples, what is the highest teachings of the path? Nyoma, good evening. We're talking about Atisha, and someone asked Atisha, what is the highest teaching of the path? And Atisha replied, a whole bunch of little things now. So stay attentive. The highest skill is the realization of egolessness. The highest nobility is in subduing your own mind. The highest excellence is in having a mind which seeks to help others. The highest precept is continual mindfulness. All these things, a lot of straightforward, it's like vitamins in a jar that you just drink straight. The highest remedy is in understanding the naturelessness of everything. In other words, the non-inherent existence of everything. You put it that way. So, the highest activity is not to conform with worldly concerns. What's the best way to forget about the world? That I want this, I want that. You have to live here. You put up with it, but it's not your home. It really is. The highest accomplishment is the lessening and transmutation of the passions. In other words, your anger, your jealousy, your craving and stuff. That's the highest accomplishment. The highest giving is found in where? Non-attachment. You don't have a mind that, you're really ready to give up things. The highest moral practice is a peaceful mind. Peaceful mind, automatically you're very moral. The highest patience is humility. Remember our teacher, Chungla Rinpoche? The highest patience is humility. The highest effort is to abandon attachment to activities. What do I do next? What's now? Oh, I got to do something. Let's go out. Blah, blah, blah. The highest meditation is the mind without pretension. clean, I'm not this, ideas about who you are that are false. The highest wisdom is not to grasp anything as it appears. Don't grasp at anything as it appears, because we don't see reality. We don't see the underlying truth of everything. We see our projection. So that's why we're suffering. Upon leaving the western province of Nari, a teacher gave the following parting advice to his assembled disciples. Not too long. Friends, until you have obtained enlightenment, the spiritual teacher is needed. Therefore, depend upon the holy spiritual teacher. Until you fully realize the nature of voidness, you must listen to the teaching. Therefore, listen closely to the precept of the teacher. Merely understanding the Dharma is not enough to become enlightened. You must practice constantly. Never mind, I know what that means. Yeah, I know. And then you do whatever you want. I mean, that doesn't make sense. You brought the medicine home. Take it. No, Go far away from any place that is harmful to your practice. Always stay in a place that is conducive to virtue. Clamor or noise is harmful until you obtain a firm mind. Therefore, stay in an isolated place. A yogi can go anywhere. You can meditate, as Rinpoche said, in the middle of a yogi can meditate in the middle of an Indian railroad station, which is basically where everybody's screaming and cows walking by. Literally, I got bumped by a cow on a bus station. But a yogi goes above that. Abandon friends who increase your fettering passions. In other words, your anger, your lust, whatever. Depend on friends who cause you to increase virtue. Bear this in mind. That's the reason why you have a center. To have people gathering that help each other out, that have the same idea of what's important in life. There is never an end of things to do. This is true. So limit your activities. Dedicate your virtue day and night, and always be mindful. So he starts the year off with advice from Atisha. Very nice. We're very happy about that. Now, my biography, Being Nobody, Going Nowhere. No. It's the name of this old book. It's a nun, very interesting nun. Her name is Aya Kema. She's gone now. She died, I think, at the turn of the century. This book's been around so long. It's been in the Tibet Center Library on Broadway. We left Broadway in '97. So, I tried to get copies of it. It's out of print. Wisdom said check back later, because if they get enough requests, they'll reprint it. So, it starts, this is called a Discourse on Loving Kindness. It's from the Sutta Nipata, N-I-P-A-T-A, part of the Pali Canon, the fundamental vehicle. You could call it Theravada, Hinayana, whatever. The Nikaya system. It's basic Buddhism. It's the word of the Buddha. A discourse on loving kindness is going to come at you very fast now. This is the sutra itself. This is the Buddha's words itself. So just relax and hear it. Either you don't hear it with your active mind, your substrate mind, your underlying mind, which is very smart, is picking it up. So it's a benefit to hear it. What should be done by one who's skillful in wholesomeness? Somebody asked the Buddha, and the Buddha said, to gain the state of peacefulness is this. One must be able, upright, straight, and not proud. She's going to go through all these words and explain each of them. So this is just the sutra, then the commentary. We won't do the whole thing because it'll take long. Maybe a little tonight, a little next week. Mix it in. Easy to speak to. Mild and well content. This is your personality you should develop. Easily satisfied and not caught up in too much bustle. And frugal in one's ways. Or you can give your money away. With senses calmed, intelligent, not bold, not being covetous when with other folks. Oh, I want that hat. Oh, I want that. I want that. Here's a nice car. Nice car. There is no nice car. It looks like crap after a year. Don't worry about it. Abstaining from the ways that wise ones blame. And this is the thought that one should always hold. What should we hold? May beings all live happily and safe. You should always think that way underneath. Happily and safe. And may their hearts rejoice within themselves. Whatever there may be with breath of life, whatever there may be with breath or life, any being with breath or life, whether they be frail or very strong, without exception, be they long or short or middle size, or be they big or small, or thick or visible or invisible, or whether they dwell far or whether they dwell near, those that are here and those seeking to exist, like being born, may beings all rejoice within themselves. You're wishing good to every possible form of life. You carry that around with you. Whenever you have 2 seconds, throw that out. It won't hurt. It'll help. May beings all rejoice within themselves. Let no one bring about another's ruin, and not despise in any way or place. Let them not wish each other any ill, from provocation or from enmity, from anger, in other words. Just as a mother, at the risk of her life, loves and protects her child, her only child, so one should cultivate this boundless love to all that live in the whole universe, extending from a consciousness sublime upwards and downwards and across the world, untroubled and free from hate and enmity. This sounds like the Bodhisattva ideal. This is supposed to be the Theravada. The Buddha's word covers everything in all of his works. And while one stands or while one walks and sits, or one lies down, still free from drowsiness, one should be intent on this mindfulness. This is divine abiding here, they say. You're acting like a god right here. But when one lives quiet and free from any view, is virtuous with perfect insight one, and greed for sensual desires expelled, one surely comes no more to any womb. This is the idea that unless you want to be, you don't have to be reborn. You've reached a nirvana. Of course, bodhisattvas know all this, but they deliberately go to places that need them. But you build up slowly. So he's going to talk, she is going to talk a little bit about it. She says, if we stand too close to a mirror, we can't see anything. So let's bring the mirror in. We tried that. If we stand too far away, we can't see anything either. We need to have just the right distance so that we can discern what we see. All right, we got that. The loving kindness discourse is close to many of us. We know that it means we should love everybody, right? You got the idea? That's very true, especially those people that are troublesome for us and those who don't comply with our wishes or our expectations. Let's take a closer look at the loving kindness discourse. If we're too far away from it, or take a step back from just knowing the words, to see what it really says and means, not just the words. So here she goes. It begins with, what should be done by one who's skilled in wholesomeness? She's quoting this. That is an interesting statement because it explains wholesomeness as a skill. And skills can be learned. You can learn this. We all have learned skills. Taking a skill, even walking is a skill. We had to learn them when we were very small how to walk. And now we do fairly well after all these years. Meditation is a skill and can be learned as it's being learned. Driving a car, washing clothes are skills. We learn some of these almost automatically through daily contacts in our homes. She's very skillful. She's telling me, you're reading someone, this is hard to do. Meditate, develop it. You learned every other thing. You learned how to find your way to school and this and that. You're learning computers today on your own or else. So meditation, similarly, all these qualities are there to be grabbed. They're not hiding from you and they don't cost anything. So that's it, a skill. Wholesomeness is learned through education and environment, but it's never perfected unless we make a deliberate attempt at it. As His Holiness always says, must make effort. Of course, It doesn't just come to us naturally. We all have some of it. We wouldn't be here if we didn't. And a lot of people in the spiritual path think, yes, I'll just sit there like this and it'll all come in. No, you'll fall asleep. No, your mind will think about pizza or whatever. So you got to make an effort. There's got to be that thing. The karma of wholesomeness has brought us here. Right. Somehow we got here. But we also have this opposite karma. The Buddha gives exact instructions in the loving kindness discourse on how to perfect wholesomeness. It's a short discourse starting out with the most mundane worldly instruction that goes all the way up to full enlightenment. This is called graduated discourse, step by step, graduated. The Buddha's discourses are often like that. Everyone listening, whether at the very beginning of practice or coming to the end of it, can benefit. Those who can absorb what they hear might be able to use the whole discourse and go from worldly conditions to the supramundane. In other words, he lays it out for everybody, beginning Happy New Year, Kung Hai Fat Choi. No, it's the English thing. Whatever it is. I don't know Mandarin. Anyway, we're talking about the fundamental vehicle sutra called Discourse on Loving Kindness, and this is by a great female yogi, Aya Kema. She's gone now, but she's established many centers in Singapore, all over the world. She's been around. She became an American citizen. The Buddha said his teachings are like the ocean. You get wet? No. When we approach it from the shore, it's shallow at first. We can just wet our feet. As we go into it deeper and deeper, we're eventually engulfed and finally swallowed by it. Just so is the teaching. Maybe something catches your mind. Slowly, here we are. So that's fortunate. We're lucky. Maybe trying meditation for half a day, then 2 days, until we finally have the courage to come to a 10-day meditation course and sit through all of it. We learn the teaching little by little until eventually our whole life is dominated by it. Teachings, everyone takes their time. Some people go real quick because they have a good background from previous life. Some it's very, very hard. They're just learning. But once you come in contact with the Buddha Dharma, you're saved. You're going to go on. It has its own power. Maybe not at first, but life after life, and maybe next life if you're really good. Or this one, you're very good. The next sentence says, to gain the state of peacefulness is this. What is he talking about, the Buddha? It says clearly that peacefulness is not something given to us. We have to gain it. It's not ours just because we like it or are wishing for it, or because it's desirable. Yeah, nothing I wish for. Of course I like it, but it doesn't come. You know? We have to gain it through effort. No gain comes unless effort is made. So there's the idea of a practitioner being very active. The best you can, without going crazy. I got to do this, now I got to study this. You got to have, pace yourself. The Buddha goes on to say that what conditions in oneself are necessary in order to become skilled in wholesomeness. So what do you have to do to your mind to reach the state of peacefulness? These two are foundations for what is uppermost in the discourse, namely how one should approach other people. First, one has to do something about oneself. It's no use thinking or saying love, 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 but doing nothing about one's own purification. You have to be that fountain of love. So look inside, what's going on there, clean it up. And then, like a magnet, you'll draw people. Better situations will happen to you. Then there are 15 conditions stated by the Buddha which are to be perfected in oneself in order to have love towards the people around one and the world at large. They start out, one should be able, and one should have abilities and not have to depend on others but rely on oneself. Self-reliance brings self-confidence. And self-confidence brings a feeling of security. You develop yourself, okay, you're not frightened. So only when we feel secure can we love. As long as we are dependent upon others, upon their help, assistance, and goodwill in order to stay alive and perform the most necessary daily tasks, we are full of fear that these others may leave us. It's underlying sometimes. It's not on the top of our minds. But you always say, what if, blah, blah, blah. Develop your own strength. Fear cannot possibly arouse peacefulness. All of us are interdependent, not independent, interdependent. But the fear of being left out, of not being able to look after ourselves is an entirely different situation. It can become so fearful that we comply with quite unworthy conditions just in order to keep things running as they are because we feel so insecure. This is not conducive to peace. We're frightened all the time. How can we help others? We can't even think straight. Everything is defensive. That's not happiness. One should be upright. A person who is upright not only speaks the truth, which is basic, but also doesn't manipulate people or situations for personal gain. Are you listening, Mr. President? Never mind. Uprightness is being totally honest, which means expressing ourselves according to our own understanding and not to please others. Oh, that's a wonderful sweater you have there. Oh, very small. How nice. Yeah. Uprightness means that we care about truthfulness. The Buddha's teaching is centered on the Four Noble Truths. If we know ourselves to be upright, we are certain not to deviate from the way we feel and understand. We know we are being true to ourselves. Without that, there can be no peace. The next condition, they said, is to be straight. What does that mean? Which means to be straightforward, not beating around the bush, not whitewashing or flattering. It needs a straight mind. A person who doesn't have a mind that can think straight will have a hard time being straight. It's a skill that needs to be cultivated through mindfulness and mental formation. It's the way you think, probably. What am I doing? Reflect back. All right. How do I want to come out of my mouth now? What do I want? To know someone to be straightforward makes it easy to relate to that person. We know they mean what they say. What does he mean by that? No, none of that. We don't have to wonder, do they really mean it? What could they mean by that? We can trust such a person. To be trustworthy is conducive to having peaceful relationships. If people were to trust each other more and mere worthy of that trust, and were worthy of that trust, there would be so much less confusion in people's relationships. Let me see what the time, we got a little time. And not proud. Pride goes before a fall is an English proverb. To be proud is ego-centered nonsense. It comes from the ego, which is not aware of reality. The ego is off balance with the way things are. Be it family status or possessions, achievements, accomplishments, it's all ego affirmation. But it even goes further than that. Pride creates a feeling of superiority and also stiffens the mind. And this, yes. No, you got the idea. Think about it when you feel proud. The mind's stiff. It knows everything always. It's not ready to learn anything. It knows it. Oh. I don't know, he used to say all the time. Oh, I don't know. He knew. There's a story of Brahman, this is a nice story now, whose nickname was Pride Stiff. Because he would never prostrate in front of anyone. Not even in front of his own gods, nor in front of any of his teachers. He never came to listen to the Buddha either. But one day he did appear, to everyone's surprise. He listened to the Buddha's discourse, and when the Buddha was finished, he went up to him and prostrated. The whole assembly went, "Whoa, ooh, look at this." Then he made an agreement with the Buddha. He said that after having heard his discourse, he wanted to become his disciple, except that he had a reputation to uphold. Everyone knows, I don't prostrate. Oh yeah? In future, whenever he met the Buddha in the street, would the Buddha accept his lifting his hat instead of prostrating as a proper salutation? What do you think the Buddha said? Yes or no? The Buddha agreed to that. He kept his nickname Pride Stiff until the end of his life. So the Buddha agreed. All right. Sometimes Rinpoche says you can't always prostrate, doesn't look too like those raised fingers, or some show of, polite respect. You don't have to go on the floor like this. That looks stupid in some society. So meanwhile, you meet in Madison Square Garden, so Rinpoche. Stiff with pride is the way we express it. The stiffness shows an inability to accept new ideas and outlooks. Whatever I think is, that's it. Yeah, well, sorry. So sorry. Pride is a viewpoint, and anything new would endanger the foundations on which pride rests. It is very difficult for a proud person to learn something new. It's common for such a person to say, I know, without knowing. Yeah, you know. One more. Easy to speak to. A person who is easy to speak to is one who doesn't resort to anger, rage, or fury at the slightest provocation. We've all had bosses that you're afraid to approach with some problem because you know they're going to explode. Well, too bad. You can't be that kind of person. It means someone being worth to talk to, having developed compassion in one's heart. Someone who has compassion. We've got all that. Blah, blah, blah. Without compassion, one doesn't become easy to speak to because one is continually thinking about oneself rather than about the other person. So that's the root of that problem. I'm this, and I'm hard to talk to because I'm internal all the time about my own ideas, not the right way of being internal. Good evening. Have a seat. Pull up a chair, sit on the floor. Welcome. We're talking about a basic sutra with different qualities we should develop. All these skills are needed before there's even any mention of loving anybody. So you want to have loving kindness towards everyone. First, clean your house, your mental house. Then it comes out naturally. You don't have to work at it. Well, I'm going to love that one. I'm going to love that one. I'm going to love him. It'll come out. That's it. The discourse doesn't get to the word love until all the necessary conditions for it have been made clear. And then he goes into that. So we'll stop at that point. Next week we'll pick it up. Or next Wednesday night in New Jersey we'll pick it up. So you can watch on TV. Or you can borrow the book. It's Tibet Center book. Look at this. We made little cards like the library. And I think Marie had a hand in it. But she was a librarian. And no one checked it out. Oh well. The past. Get in there. Now back to our topic. Advice on dying. And this is like a handbook. Do you all have this book, Death, Intermediate State, and Rebirth? We have a bunch in the Tibet Center. We'll put some in the library if you want to buy it. But this is like a primer, like a text. Doesn't talk too much about this. Ding, 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 ding. This happens. So you can practice. As you die, your mind is going to get more and more subtle. What we operate now is a coarse mind. The other night, His Holiness, a New Year's greeting I watched, and he says, what psychiatrists and mental health professionals talk about when they talk about the mind is the coarse mind, the mind we walk around in, not the one or two levels below that, and certainly not the ground of consciousness, the bhavanga, what do you want to call it. They haven't been introduced to that. The only way in is through yourself. You can't read that with scientific instruments or anything. Nobody can go and see what our core Buddha mind is doing with a scientific instrument. Only the meditator, him or herself, does that. But it's possible. It's there. The clear light is always on, and it's powering everything. So as you die, the mind gets subtler and subtler, and internally you see certain visions. Externally, people see you, hold me up, you're getting thinner, you're getting paler, then you stop breathing. And clinical death occurs then. He's not breathing, but no, Buddhism has 4 more steps. The internal energy, prajna or chi, didn't leave yet. It's still there, going closer, closer, closer to where it came in the first place, and then it goes. How it exits this way or that way is a big deal. But this is later on. All this is mapped out. Something like this, without any flourishes, is very practical. So, we got a bunch of these, right, Darren?
Yes.
Yeah, so next time you roll around to New Jersey, or else I'll bring some in.
We'll try to bring some next week.
Yeah, get a pack animal. Just bring them in. Okay. This is the Advice on Dying by His Holiness Dalai Lama. It's the opening dedication is very interesting. It's a Tibetan proverb, and it says, everyone dies, but nobody's dead. Because the mind doesn't die. We all know this now. Well, now we know. So it's a poem by the Panchen Lama, Losang Chukyi Gyaltsen, who's really a monster writer. So here's verse 7. We're up to verse 7. May we all have the confidence of joy and delight, He's talking about what happens when you die. He's saying you recite these verses every day or when you can. May we have the confidence of joy and delight when food and wealth accumulated with miserliness are left behind and we separate forever from cherished and longed for friends, going alone to a perilous situation. Ordinarily, His Holiness says, commenting on these 4 verses, does this scare you? It shouldn't scare you. The way to a peaceful death is acknowledging it and going, but we've all died many thousand and billions times before. So we didn't know it. Some of the tulkus, or they knew. So, ordinarily, His Holiness says, if you were told that your death was imminent, you would be sorrowful not only for yourself, but for friends and family. Within this sorrow, the process of dying, the gradual withdrawal of consciousness, withdrawal to its subtlest point, would take place. However, as explained above, you have reflected on the importance of extracting the essence of this life situation and the necessity for spiritual practice, and have reflected again and again on impermanence, which is around us all the time. Then, through remembering these instructions while dying, you will not come under the influence of unfavorable conditions such as grief and sorrow or fear. So you rehearse. So then, when time comes to sing on stage or act, you rehearse. You know what to do. It's automatic. You have a habit now. So all of the appearances associated with death, instead of distracting you, oh, this is the fireflies, radiant white, radiant red, black. Oh, yeah, this is happening as they said. Okay, you're watching the show. Remind you of the practice and urge you towards meditation. So instead of freaking out and all these things happen, oh, this is what they said. Oh, okay, now this is happening. Yes, you go with it, because that's an excellent way of getting to the core of your mind where you can change things immediately, come out as a Buddha. I'm not joking. All the sadhanas, the tantric sadhanas, recreate that means of accomplishment as the word meaning of sadhana. Accomplishing what? Accomplishing your destiny, Buddhahood. So, with this in mind, it will be possible to die with joy and confidence, like a child happily returning to a parent's home. And I always add, on the last day of school. Nothing happier than the last day of school, for teacher and student alike. Skipping home on the last day of school. Yeah, more. Among those who will go to an intermediate state between lives, some skip that, the best can determine their next birth. Such a person can die with confidence without any worry. What's like the intermediate state in our normal living situation? Anybody have an idea? We go through it every day, hopefully, or every night. Dreams. In the dream, the mind is more subtle. And then there's deep sleep, where actually the clear light appears and stuff, they say. We don't see it. We don't have the attention ability, the attentive ability to see all that, but yogis can. They deliberately, first of all, when they're dreaming, alter their dream. They make it cut the word they use, they direct it, in other words. And then into deep sleep where there's no consciousness at all, or fainting or whatever. If you're very, 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 very good, you see what's going on. At that point, any directed thought can change you immensely. It's like going to the operating system of your computer, changing the way it goes out very quickly. Instead of going through this app and that, something like that. I don't know. I have no idea of this. I have no experience of this, so I really don't. So, but we've met people that have pointed out things that indicate they know more than us. Imagine that someone knows more than me. Oh my God. Lavinia's listening from India. Good morning, Lavinia, wherever you are. You're in Goa? All right. Go swimming. So with this in mind, you're happy, blah, blah, blah. So a best practitioner can determine their birth. I'm going here, that's that. A middling one will not be frightened, and the lowest will at least not have any regret. So as you go through this process, as you see physical signs happening and internal visions happening, you're not freaking out. Okay, that's very good. And this is going to happen, by the way. Unless you plan on living forever without ever dying, good for you. Bring in the instructions here, I'll buy them. So, your consciousness can leave with great confidence. A number of monastics and scholars that I know have died in such a way. They realized that they were about to die and called in their close acquaintances to bid them farewell. That's really doing it good. That's pretty good. I remember Lati Rinpoche, the previous one, now the boy's been born, everything's like 8 or 9 years old, or 10. He sat up, he said, oh, time to go. And he went, like that. And
Is he the one who gave him this station?
Tibet Center years ago, many times, yes. He's also Lati, L-A-T. He's behind this book, the teaching of it. Yeah, he's a heavy guy, very close to Rinpoche. Yeah, he gave us in 1990 the 3 Guya Samaja, Haruka, and Yamantaka in a row, July of 90. You were around, I remember. Yeah, you were here. You, Eddie Tong, led the charge. You're probably busy listening to Eddie Tong, but no, he was there. Not for all of them, I don't think, but it was in Broadway. Yeah, on Broadway, in 1990 itself. I think July of 90. It was real hot, of course. It's never pleasant. Anyway, there's pictures of it. Maybe I have. But anyway, that's not important. So a monk here in Dharamsala, after asking to bring his robe, put it on and passed away. Several here in India have been able to stay within the mind of clear light for many days, one for 17, others for 9 or 10. As a sign of this, after their breathing stops, here's the outward sign. Their breathing stops. EMS comes, he's dead, get rid of him. No, because he doesn't slump or she doesn't slump. The body doesn't slump. It doesn't deteriorate. It doesn't move. A slight hand on the heart will show there's still warmth there. Prana is still there, chi is still there. Didn't leave yet. The person is in the subtlest state of mind, the mind of clear light. Attentive, knowing that. It's called tukdam. Sometimes you hear in Tibetan, he's in tukdam. Or really, tell him when he gets out to call him. No. So that's what happened. That's why it's important. He said even in a hot country, the body doesn't deteriorate. Such persons are able to remain without fluctuation in the mind of clear light of death and die with tremendous confidence and joy and probably send themselves to teach to heaven, back on earth, whatever they want to do. My senior tutor, Ling Rinpoche, whom we all met in the next life, he's talking about the Kukuma, the previous Ling Rinpoche, told me a story about a lama that is both sad and funny at the same time. He stayed, by the way, for 13 days in Tukdam, around Christmas of 85, I remember. So, near the time of his death, the lama put on his saffron robe and told his companions he was about to die. Then, when sitting in the cross-legged posture of meditation, he died. One of his new students, who having recently arrived from an outlying area, did not know about the possibility of dying within sitting meditation. What? He came into the lama's room, saw that his teacher's body was sitting up. He imagined that a spirit had entered the body of his teaching, so he knocked the body down. Black humor from His Holiness. So his advice is, let me see if we have time for this. Yes, we have plenty of time. Avoid being depressed about dying. Take refuge in your respective religion, whatever it is. Jesus Christ, this, Allah, fine. Whatever gives you confidence. We're not here selling Buddhism. Mm-hmm. Reflect on the importance of extracting the essence of this present life, which is endowed with both the leisure and necessity of spiritual practice, and reflect again and again on impermanence. And second advice, within that groundwork for effectively remembering your practice while dying, even horrific events and appearances that might occur will only serve to urge you to be calm and to meditate with joy and confidence. These things they'll tell you, all these visions you see, and we discussed this with Rob. You can go in the bar though, and this is a horrible thing, and the Lord uses that. That's only your mind. What do you mean that's only my mind? You dream. You're in the dream and things are going on. Your mind is watching things going on. Your mind also created the things that are going on. That's it. There's projections there. Nobody backed the truck up with a movie set and started playing out these things in your head. No. So mind is watching mind. It's all mind. Don't freak out. The worst dream. What does His Holiness say? Dreams are dreams, nothing but that. But that's one way of saying it. So, we'll go to the next verse just briefly to give ourselves a little taste, because it's going to get more clinical next time we go. It says that may we generate a powerful mind of virtues. This is the first. Buddha said, the chapter starts out with a quote from the Buddha. This life disappears only very quickly, like something written in water with a stick. If you can do that, good for you. The Panchen Lama's verse says, may we generate a powerful mind of virtue when the elements, earth, water, fire, and wind dissolve in stages, and they do sequentially. Here's the clinical stuff. And physical strength is lost, mouth and nose dry and pucker. Warmth withdraws, breaths are gasped, and rattling sounds emerge. Sounds like a party to me. It's what's going on. You hear about this, you know it, you won't be so freaked out. So the first 7 stanzas, His Holiness says, are presented in accordance with both forms of Buddhist doctrine, Sutra and Tantra. The latter Tantra involves a special practice that calls for imagining yourself here and now as a fully compassionate and wise being with the physical form of a Buddha. You imagine this. You imagine this to create it, to make it real eventually. From the 8th stanza on, the presentation mainly of Tantra practice, specifically from the class of highest yoga Tantra. So now only Tantric instructions will follow. The sutra doesn't discuss these things. It tells you be a good boy or girl, very nice, even though you may be 90 years old. So that's a description of death in terms of the gradual dissolution of body and mind, and of the 4 elements is unique to highest yoga Tantra. That's what those sadhanas are about in their strange language that they talk. They're rehearsing you for the process of death. And some yogis are so good, they go right down to the clear light mind and operate. They don't die. They come right back as they were. But they learn a lot. And they affect a lot of others. There's clairvoyance there. They can travel here and there. So, after conception, the process of formation proceeds from subtler to gross. So they'll go into rebirth, what happens as you're born in the womb and you grow up, the fetus develops and all that. But at that, there is a dissolution from gross to subtle. Makes sense. Huh? The phenomena that dissolves consists of the 4 elements: earth, which means the hard substances of the body, the bones, etc. Water, fluids. Fire, heat of the body. And wind or chi, energy, movement. Those are the elements that are dissolving. And certain things happen, and you have certain reactions to them as they happen. Natural. Always following the script. Whether you live out your full lifespan or not, the process of death involves many phases. In a sudden death, you pass through these phases very quickly, with little chance of noticing them. For those who die more gradually, it is possible to recognize and make use of these different stages. This is a true thing. A sudden death, you're not going to see all this. It'll go by like a flash. And unless you're a yogi, where this is usually 60 moments, to a yogi it's 240 or more. They have things stretched out that way. So they wouldn't have things flash by them quickly. Who's a yogi? You, me? No, not me. I don't know, maybe you. So, but that's the point. So there are people who die quickly, and they're not aware of it. And probably when we died in the past, we weren't aware of it, because we would remember. This would come back now very well. And we get a little nervous feeling or something. So watch that. Maybe you're getting that. Maybe you're just tired. Portents of death, such as a change in the way the breath moves in the nostrils. One of these people who does breathing meditation. Dreams, physical signs can occur even many years before actual death, though for ordinary persons, these usually occur within a year or 2 before dying. We won't go into that because everybody freaks out and starts looking and imagining, and you stay awake all night. So we don't need this. Portents of death include being disgusted with your surroundings, home, friends, and so forth. Well, that happens every day. Let's relax. Your job, perhaps, bring that in. Resulting in a wish to go elsewhere. Or you may develop lust for these exceeding what you had before. In other words, you want more than you got. He used the word lust to just mean craving. We use it in sexual terms, but he just means You want more all of a sudden, a better house, a better car. What am I doing? That kind of thing. Or you may switch from being harsh to being cooperative, or the other way around. Your enthusiasm might markedly increase or wane, get less. There may be a change in your physical luster or the style of your behavior. The next life is coming up. That's what's happening underneath. Here we go. We're getting messages from what we're going to be, and we're starting to act like that. I think. The nature of your conversation may become very rough. Uh-oh. Mine is always rough. Swearing and so forth. Or you might talk repeatedly about death. Wait a minute. I'm talking. Anyway, so we'll leave it at that. So they'll run out and die right away. This whets your appetite. What we'll do is pick this up, and we'll pick up the Loving Kindness Sutra again, because we didn't get through not even half of it. Wednesday night, so you can watch it on the tube, or archive it and watch it whenever you want. But I can't recommend this book more, because it's about how to do your tantric practice, and it's about life. So it's about the makeup of who you are now, and how you feel certain ways. And very blunt, very good introduction by Jeffrey Hopkins. I see my wife left a lot of notes behind, so when she died, she knew what she was doing. This is her copy. Darren, who do we pray for who has died? Any names?
Yeah.
Your friend, for instance. Brent? Okay, we're praying for these people. Brent McLaughlin, the drummer, Rogue Music 30. Oh, you have the studio down the street.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, we'll take care of him right now. Nobody else could take care of him like we do. Sutra of the Recollection, Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy, it is trustworthy, and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit, completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue. I prostrate to the Tathagata, pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to all the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. Now we do 8 verses for training the mind. This is Kadampa literature. This is from the early practitioners. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare of all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, I will learn to hold them supremely dear. Whenever I associate with others, I will learn to think of myself as the lowest amongst all, and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, I will learn to search into my mind, and as soon as a disturbing emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. I will learn to cherish ill-natured beings and those oppressed by strong misdeeds and sufferings, as if I had found a precious treasure difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly, with abuse, slander, and so on, I will learn to take all loss and offer the victory to them. When the one whom I had benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, I will learn to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, I will learn to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. I will learn to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by understanding all phenomena as light illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment. Prayer for the swift return of Rato Chungla Rinpoche by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, Guru Lup Tubang Lozang Dorje Chang. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Lozang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body, serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Lozang Tempe, magnificent truth of the 3 precious gems, Mahakal, Karmayama, and Sri Mata Devi. and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. That concludes today's presentation. First of all, if you announce, I'd like to thank Jeff and Lori for their nice, kind message today. I didn't have time to respond to it. Thank you so much, guys, for everything. The next Dharma class will be Wednesday night at the Parsonage in South Orange. You can find the directions on our website. And this Saturday, we return to White Tara practice at 1 o'clock, followed by a delicious lunch and Leung's famous mugwort tea. That happens. And then next Monday night, so we're back on the normal schedule now. That's it. So thanks for your kind listening.
Where do you meet on Saturday?
Big love from. We meet at our place in South Orange, New Jersey, which is 35 minutes from Penn Station.
You take one of the bus?
You take the train right here.
Oh, the path.
No, the path will only get you to Hoboken. You can take the path to Hoboken and then take the train to Mountain Station. The whole trip should take about 45 minutes to an hour. 45 minutes. 35 minutes.
Way of getting there other than
The best way is take the train from Penn Station. The